This comment is in response to a video I made about how Christians and Mormons generally don't ask why we ex-Mormons and ex-Christians have left the church. They typically don't. But I have an experience that tells me that it's not always the case. When I left the Mormon church last summer, I had at least 6, probably about 8 people who are still active members of the church who asked me to share my experience with them. I shared a Facebook post on my 45th birthday announcing all of the changes in my life, my leaving the church being one of those changes. And what I did in that post is I led with empathy. I said, there's some readers that are going to be really supportive of my choices. There are going to be some readers that are not going to be supportive at all. There may be some that are very confused and angry. There's some that don't have a clue, don't care one way or another. And all of those responses are okay. And if you want to hear my experience and you want to know why I left, I'm happy to share that experience with you. But don't feel like you have to ask. Immediately, I heard from 3 guys that I know are active members of the church, and they said, hey, I just really want to know. Would you be willing to share through Facebook Messenger? And I wrote up a 4-page passage saying all of the reasons why I left the church. And I did so for a Mormon audience. And I just let them know, you don't have to agree with this. This is just my experience. My in-laws and my dad, the same thing. I reached out to them and I said, I know that as parents, this is the last thing you want to hear about your children. However, I need you to know I'm doing really well. I'm confident in my choices. And if you want to hear what led me to leave the church, I am happy to share that with you. And they reached out to me and I was able to sit down and have just beautiful conversations with them. Painful. They still didn't understand. But the fact that they asked me, will you share why you left the church, was incredibly validating. It was a sign of love that they cared about me enough to want to ask me for my experience. So I think as a general rule, most active Mormons, active Christians don't want to know. I get it. I was at that place once upon a time. I was committed to protecting my testimony, and I wasn't sure. I didn't want anything to weaken my testimony, and it was just so much easier to just say, you don't know what you're talking about. I've got the truth, you don't. So much easier to be judgmental than it is to be empathic. And when people don't ask, I don't think it's because they don't care about you. I think they're just afraid. I think they're just afraid of learning what you have learned for yourself. And though this is the general rule, and I do think that there are people, active Mormons and active Christians, that are more nuanced and more loving, and they genuinely put love before fear. I think they can surprise us.